Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining the next episode of the Emergence Show. I'm Nico Farah, your host. If you're new here, welcome. We talk about the intersection of emerging tech and pop culture. And last week we had an amazing discussion with Jimmy about how fashion and tech can come together and engage the community. We're more focused on NFC chips and how connect physical to digital. Now we're talking about sneakers, and pop culture is very much tied to sneaker culture. And we have an amazing guest who's been on the show before, but we're talking about his new business and very exciting projects that he has built with this social good in mind, which I'm personally very excited about, and would love to hear more. Thank you, Ian, for being with us. We're so grateful to have you back.
Thank you for having me, Nico, all of the awesome Emergence audience, and just everyone that keeps showing up every week, learning about all this crazy stuff that we're doing collectively, right, as we forge the future and what that looks like. So, yeah, thank you for having me. Really looking forward to kind of diving into Sneakar and what this last 6 months or so has been like for me with brand building and putting a product together and all of it. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So, just a side note, there is a windstorm here in Santa Monica, and I apologize if I get cut off in between. Um, Please, keep going with the conversation. Ask your question in the chat. Ian will be here to respond to you and engage with you. I apologize again. And we're going to make the best out of it. So, yes, please engage in the comments. I appreciate all of you for being here. Hi, Chris, Gabriel, Rihanna, Alex, and everyone else who's tuning in. We're so excited to have you all. So, Ian, for those who may not know you personally, please tell us a brief story of who you are, what got you into this space of Web3 and fashion and, sneaker culture, and then we can dive into the brand.
Sure, I'd love to. So, yeah, first of all, hello to all some familiar faces that are popping up. I really appreciate everybody's time today. So, yeah, a little bit about me if you guys aren't aware of myself, Ian Harrison, Monster Vision, and now furthermore, Sneakar. I've spent the last 5 years or so, 4 to 5 years, intensely working on PMF or product market fit or brand market fit for what it means as we emerge into Web3, putting people first, creating people first oriented branding, content, community driven experiences, connecting anchor points of these moments that matter. I think it's helpful to know that one of my mantras that I live by is all we have is what we leave behind. So in doing so, the work that I touch, the client work, whether it's creative or gamification or social fi or brand building, the work that I touch is impact driven because I'm constantly assessing against, what are we doing here? We get one time in this skin suit, no matter what we believe afterwards. So making the best of it while we're here is important to me. So my background is in people, engaging people and working with groups, brands, stakeholders, entities, shareholders, product, musicians, celebrity alike to help understand what their messaging is and help convey it in a palatable and non-archaic way. So how are we making sure that what we're representing is on brand for ourselves and on brand for the intent that we're working on, which leads into Web3. My background is in artistry. I'm a 20-year touring musician, frontman on several fusion groups and jazz, funk, and hip hop, and I'm an MC and have been for 2 decades. And so running tours, on the independent side of things, small stage, DIY, all the way to being on national monoliths like the Warped Tour, etc. It's just learning what merchandising works and learning what engagement works with different crowds and different groups of folks. And so I've spent the last 2 decades really working on figuring out how to connect and create resonance and create authenticity and be in these moments. I think I lean on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the big existential quagmire is, what is 42? Like, what does 42 mean? Which is allegory for what is the meaning of life. And I think we always forget that it's these experiences like that you and I are sharing right now, Nico, with your incredible audience, and the moments that we build when we're brand building, the exchanges we make when we're having brain build sessions and one-on-ones, and we're chasm crossing with stakeholders, all of those things, right? They're like all relevant and pertinent to what we're building as architects of the future and the unsurety of its nature. So that's it in a nutshell. My background is that I'm rooted in like punk rock and rebellion. I'm an Austin, Texas kid from the 90s, and I'm just all about experience. So yeah.
Love it all. Thank you for sharing. So, what made you think of starting a fashion brand? And more importantly, something that is different and tech driven. What was the founding story?
Yeah. So I think merchandising first and foremost, like as a musician and a touring musician and trying to figure out how to make money on the road, like t-shirts sell really well, right? They just kind of do and always have. So like understanding what kind of design principles I wanted to create and craft around what Munster, the artistry of Munster. And then as it grew to a brand of Munster Vision, and then further to that, my love and background in graffiti and my creative direction work in doing collage mashups, and really like I come from a disruptive age and a disruptive edge in the way that I design. And so when looking at how to bring all of these to the forefront of what's going to stick, what's going to work, what's something I can like build up with a couple of co-founders that have been awesome in, the ideation build of this thing. Like, how do we create a fashion brand that is novel and that does something that doesn't exist in the market, that solves problems in a way that's unique and delivers branded content, all of these things that started to become the why when I look at building a streetwear line. It's an incredibly saturated marketplace. I think this is an understatement to say that like, oh, I'm going to go start the next streetwear brand without having a UPO or a unique product offering or something that is yours and yours alone. I think, I hate to say it, but it's likely doomed to fail, or it's just a hard slog. So I think deconstructing your question and saying why a fashion brand or what drove the fashion side, I think it's reverse engineered. My work in Web3 in a performative use case and understanding digital crossover and creating these momentous moments that exist in the digital realm where we're living and in the physical realm where we exist and we touch and we viscerally experience. The last 3 to 4 years in creating NFTs, digital collectibles that all have some form of physical use case, whether you're collecting my 20 trading cards on the Wax blockchain and exchanging them for a physical trading card pack, or you're finding all of the elements hidden from, turntables to recordings to notebooks. And these things are salt and peppered in my digital collectibles. But then when you find them, you redeem them for the physical goods. So a lot of build, a lot of pre-creation into a fashion brand came from merchandising. So again, I lean back heavy on the merchandising side because it's so important. Figuring out what's going to work with your audience and creating new and innovative ways to deliver that type of basal thing to them is crucial. So for me, I knew that my rooted background in hip hop and disruption and graffiti, et cetera, and street art, coupled with my design eye and my keen draw towards collage work, yada, yada, yada. A couple years back, I got picked up on a national sneakerhead design competition, took 5th place in the country. It was super cool, which led to an invitation from Alive Shoes to join their official design team. So like all of these things are happening in the background, right? Like all of these stepping stones or stages in the grand alchemy of it all. So all of these like sort of aha moments are occurring to say, okay, like let's put all of these like little spurious things that you're doing into culmination, right? So couple that with my co-founders Lee and Mike Goldstein, who I met in Wax, and in our experience, me doing some consulting work for their comic company that they have over there and their trading cards. It was a very big push point for Lee to want to have his characters come to life on some forms of garment, so we were kicking around in jackets and hoodies and, what could we make the characters come alive and do? And so it went from that to, excuse me, guys, my toddler's home and asking me for applesauce. It's okay. From there, we just said, all right, we know we have like a love for XR and AR experiences. There's a need to draw those things out further than single serving. I think that's a brand statement. Like brands need to be able to draw their deliverables out beyond the single serving. You need to create impact, resonance, and these mirrored ripple moments. So from that, coupled with all my background stuff I've dove into and the live shoe stuff and all of that progress going on, it all sort of culminated into say, well, let's leverage XR. Let's leverage the work I'm doing with all of the AR folks doing stuff in over the reality and the South by Southwest XR group that I was a huge part of last spring. And, like, how do we put all of these things together so that they work and that they are a whole product? And the easy answer was with footwear. And so I've got 20 years of merchandising, building out supply chain relationships direct with manufacturing. So products are 1 to 2 step away lift, right? So establishing factory relationships, making sure we know what our cogs are, kind of building out the infrastructure first, our scalability first, knowing that we are trying to make an impact into a saturated market. We know we needed to do something that was unheard of before. So enter custom footwear, low barrier of entry mixed with XR augmented reality experiences. And we have 3 very direct verticals, which we'll get into, but that was the background on why. And the kind of the why is always all we have is what we leave behind from my perspective. And so it's always impact work. So if I'm going to put shoes on people's feet, and those are one of the first things that we notice in an environment when we're one-on-oneing with people and we're engaging with people is footwear. It's just undeniable. How can we drive impact? How can we work with brands to be the most impactful for them? And then what can we do for social cause in a novel way that we can deliver with footwear that other companies may not be able to do? So that's a lot of the why and the what. I'll stop there.
I appreciate you. That was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think merch and fashion in general are just great vehicle of storytelling and engagement. So the fans can carry on the story and represent themselves and what they like and what they're passionate about with those items. And adding this XR elements, we're actually helping with this being more interactive storytelling. Something that the other person who the story is being told to can be also part of it and not just an observer. So it's very good.
I call that journey telling, like specific to that point. And it's a little bit different than storytelling because we're going on this thing together. And I think uniquely what XR and AR in fashion allows us to do is to journey tell with each other instead of have our own individual stories. Like we all have our own stories that we're telling. Right. But something about being along the journey together and the cohesion that's driven and the societal impact of journeys and feeling like it's sort of a modern day griot experience to be able to journey tell our own stories and pass that down for generations. I think all of that is anthropologically important.
Love that. Very good point. And so in terms of, the specifics of what's unique about this product and this business, are you guys creating both physical and digital? There is a whole NFT collection tied to this. Is there NFC chips? Like what are the other elements that create this experience?
Man, I love that question. So, and that ties into the seamless Web3 stuff that we're doing. So I think this will probably be like touched on again in the show. But yes, so short answer, first and foremost, just to clear the air, Sneakar in its root is a actual physical footwear company. Like, we make shoes, but also we have an XR tech stack and app live fully connected to our footwear brand. So you ask, are we also in a digital sector? Are we creating digital twins? All of the above. So, Gabriel, one of our awesome audience members here, is the head of an entire creative division at a product called Omniverse City. And it is going to be one of our first open world endeavors. We're building out an entire skate park, skateboarding virtual experience in open world that you'll use not only your digital sneakers for, but then in collaborative partnership with our buddies over at SkateCoin, you'll have digital skateboards too, right? So you'll be like skating and engaging and doing GameFi in these open world environments wearing your sneakers. So absolutely, the intent is to create these digital twin experiences and create as many digital anchors as possible with your physical shoe. And that will tie into so many different realms. You asked about near field chips or RFID. That is absolutely a discussion that we're on the table with a company called Sweat, and that's going to be super cool. And we'll get into that in a second. I think also it should be known that with platforms like Remix Reality, we're working on geospatial games that are triggered by the image token technology in our shoes. So by being in a vicinity that's way mapped and then triggering the experience that's built into that shoe tokenization and that image mapping, drives these unique experiences. And so, it ties back into the physicality of it all. And
Amazing.
yes, we are doing an NFT, but not in the sense that like you're going to go buy an NFT version of a sneaker and that's your experience. It's reversed. So back to the seamless Web3, and I'll explain what I mean here. So we've partnered with a really incredible platform called Uncut, or the Uncut Network. And Uncut sets to serve as a platform for creators and collectors in a creator-driven environment for you to be able to mint digital collectibles, have monthly support, like a Patreon model might, for example, where your collectors are able to support you in different ways, and then you're able to deliver, again, more performative mechanics, which is the value of being on chain and the value of creating digital art on the blockchain, is that you can add all of these actual use cases that, again, fall on the responsibility of the product or the brand or the creator. But if you are going to build those into existence, there's some onus on you to perform. So back to Uncut. We have created a way for all of our consumers, Web 2, Web 2.5, Web 3, to be integrated and enculturated into our culture crew. At Stay Sneaker, it's super important that we make the experience beyond single serving, as I said before. And by doing so, bringing you into a part of what we're doing, whether it's contests, gamify, socialify experiences, discounts on upcoming product drops, exclusive releases. We want to make sure that when the consumer side of our verticals experience Sneaker and they become a part of us and it's a Stay Sneaker experience, again, that we're onboarding them in the easiest way possible. So what happens is consumer A goes to our site, they find a pair of shoes that they really like, they buy a pair of sneakers, they're going to complete their transaction. And as soon as that occurs, they're going to get an email that says, hey, you did it, good job. But here's your token of authenticity in the form of a culture coin. The email is very concise. It explains directly what a culture coin is, what's the benefits of it. As I just mentioned, some of them, product discounts, exclusive releases, gamification environments. And you click a link, it takes you over to the Uncut network we've set up where we've created a hub, and you claim your culture coin, and like that, poof, without any Wallet Connect or MetaMask or Binance or Coinbase, all these things are great, by the way, without any need for these, you're now seamlessly integrated into Web3 because a Polygon wallet gets spun up for you and you claim your culture coin. And at any given time, you want to claim ownership of that token. Well, sure, all of that's there for you. But we've built this in so that as the consumer enculturates themselves into Sneaker, they're also opening up a plethora of opportunity to be extended beyond just the transaction.
Amazing. Thank you for this comprehensive answer. I want to say shout out to Gabriel, as you mentioned. He is awesome, and they're doing great projects at the Omniversity. So I would love to break down all the different features and unique parts that you mentioned kind of separately. If you don't mind sharing your screen and showing us what Sneaker looks like, and kind of giving people some visual clue, I think would be very helpful. And then we can dive into more specifics. I want to first touch on the AR experience, and then we can go about all the other great features. There's so much going on, so many good offerings that you guys have planned. So let's break
Thank
them
you.
down.
Yeah,
So,
it's never a dull moment around here up in this noggin. So first and foremost, I just see a lot of amazing people that have been here for part of this journey or who are connected to this, from a development level. So just shout out to everybody out there in the crowd who have helped make this dream a reality and who are there to keep giving me the fuel to make this thing exist. So yeah, what we're seeing here is our site. So we'll be able to share these things later after the show. But anybody that wants to get an idea of what we're kicking off here with Sneakar can go to sneakar.io. Our app is live in the iOS App Store. So if you have an Apple iPhone, we encourage you all to go and download our free app. And then from there, what you're seeing here is our Golden Goat experience. And this is the actual app live. We are at an art, like an art festival. I put the shoe up on a giant, picture frame and then just captured the experience out in public. And then, so from there, if you had the iPhone up, you'd be able to scroll through these different based on the AR activation. And these align and correspond directly with 3 or 4 of the different Sneakars that we have as product offerings now available in our shop. And so I would say, just to kind of break it down while we're on the site and like what we've got going on here. So for the consumer, they land on our site, they want to just instantly thrust themselves into consuming Sneakar. All good, great. It's going to take you right over to our shopping environment where you'll be able to select and pick from all of our given time, unless they're exclusive drops and there's a counter and a ticker to how many of these are available. These are sort of our like always available product. And this is where you'll all exclusive or limited runs. Like for example, the above, and we're very excited to be able to have this listed on our site. It's limited to 24 pairs total. And this is our first sole to eyelet true custom run. So one of the abilities we have at Sneakar, and why I'm showing this, is that we have the low barrier aspect I mentioned earlier. And what I mean by that, and to clarify what that means, is that unfortunately, when you run into a AAA shoe branded company, you likely will pay paywall of needing to hit certain cog numbers, a certain amount you'll have to produce in order for the affiliation to exist. Through my unique relationship builds that I've done with factories, we have a way to range from one shoe production, to thousands and thousands and thousands. So that scale aspect I mentioned at the beginning of the show is worked in here. And so what you see with the Above the Clouds versus a Saved by the Bell mids, for example, is through a unique relationship with the factory, these are created pretty much on demand, customized when the consumer orders them, right? So I can fulfill this into Agnostum. As many people as I want to get on board with this product, it's available for that to do so. And then all of those experiences that are activated off the image token technology, which in this case is on the tongue, come with that sort of unlimited range of deliverables. Whereas something like the Above the Clouds is a very bespoke and curated creation. So the experience will be a little bit more nuanced. The tags underneath the tongue are all numbered 1 through 24. So being a part of the thing is really huge to us, right? So the enculturation aspect, feeling like you're getting something more than just a single serving, is super huge to us. So the consumer level, they're going to come here and they're going to say, okay, I want to buy my pair of Sneakars, and them back to the Culture Crew Hub, and all of the upcoming gamifications and scavenger hunts and partner drops, collaborations that are coming up. And so we'll be using that as sort of our exclusive
So I have a
learn about
question.
us. Here's what's coming up. Be
I have
connected
a
to what we're doing
question,
at Sneak
and
Art. Please.
so when we are looking at the physical shoes, do we get to see what comes with it digitally? Is it any different pair to pair? Like this is coming with this AR experience, this is coming with this gamification experience, or is it all the same?
Yeah, so that's great, and I'm glad you asked. So we have our standard Sneakar logo, our Stay Sneakar experience. That if the shoe is not a branded collaboration, or it's not a drop with a specific company, or it's not a nuanced shoe, and it's just our standard Sneakar line, it will have an awesome augmented experience in itself. But then back to this View AR experiences, this is where you'll see the partner. So like this is where we teamed up with a DNC grassroots organization to create some Kamala Harris shoes. We had a booster club out of Philly partner with us to create a experience around the Philadelphia Eagles. A graffiti artist that I do work with named Bone Idol Link has a digital collectible competition coming up in the spring. He wanted to create a commercial based around that. And so all of these image tokens that I'm showing here, and as the collaborations grow, obviously the experiences that we will offer will be able to be seen ahead of time, to answer your question, by downloading the app, going to the app store, and we'll soon be live on Android too. So it won't be just exclusive to iOS or anything. But yeah, you'll get the app, you'll go through the shoe that you're looking for, and then find its corresponding image token on the View AR experiences, and get an idea, at least at a teaser level. So one thing to clarify too is, there's certain elements that can only be experienced in the app. And that's because we're building geospatial gaming, we're creating leaderboard structures, tokenization. There are elements that can't be done at a website level, where we can offer a teaser of the experience itself. But in order to immerse and, be immersed into it, one must take the plunge, And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question. But in short, absolutely, anybody right now that wants to go and download the app can definitely experience what they might experience off of the shoe and having them on their feet.
Amazing. And we talked about the kind of consumer facing, but I know that you also offer these to brands. So they can do journey telling, like you mentioned, using this technology and this product. Can you share a little bit more about how you're engaging brands? What are the benefits for them?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to do that is to explain the walking billboard effect, and explain that as like our at a B2B side, that is our UPO, that is our unique product offering. The explanation of that is basically a design session, right? So we'll brain build and we'll create a swatch collection around the shoe tone colorways, the color blocking desired, silhouette style, whether it's a trainer or a high top or a skate shoe or a boot or a cleat, right? So I think defining the what is always first. And then from there, trying to understand what the impact work of creating an immersive experience off of a shoe is. Whether it's mutable, so that data is going to change and that experience can change based on what the brand's impact, drive, and necessity is. So using the Golden Goat example that I showed a second ago, being a commercial, that content can change as needed, right? So that token becomes the gateway for the brand to deliver these XR experiences over and over and over again in unique fashions over and over again. And so from you asked, how does a brand create these journey telling moments with footwear? And I think it starts with creating recognizable brand kits, like whether it's Tylenol, Dr. Pepper, Energizer battery, or your favorite rapper, creating elements that are attractive and known, that remind the end consumer about that brand and what is the anchor point for them, whether it's colors or a logo or a sound or a style, and figuring out how to transmutate or interpolate that over onto a piece of shoe. that's the first thing, is like creating the physical archetype of what's going to create that aha moment that says, oh, I know that's a Bubblicious shoe, right? For example, I know that's a Nerf shoe, because there's something recognizable about that brand that then gets put onto the footwear itself. And so that's first and foremost. I think defining with the brand and coming up with the prototype and getting the sign off that this shoe, this piece of footwear, accurately represents their brand as a thing. And then from there, driving the understanding of what is it that is looking to be delivered? What is the experience that the brand wants their consumer to have? Is it multifaceted? Going back to the teaser experiences, is there a desire for a brand to A/B test their own market for this, to say, hey, everybody has this experience if they participate in our brand at this pop-up event, at this concert, at our tour. In partnership with Sneakar, we've created this unique but very brief XR experience. And then from there, they can gauge customers' receptiveness into intentional purchasing or intentional buy by having products on hand that then take that user experience further into that extended journey, into that geospatial game, into that loyalty point system, into that structure that then creates brand resonance. And it delivers it in a content that has never been seen before. And what I mean by that is, yes, there's other augmented reality garments, and there's other shoe companies that allow you to do customization, but there's never been the emergence of both of those. And I know that because we're patent pending. I had to do tons of research to make sure I wasn't stepping into muck I didn't want to step in. And the beauty of that is that we've created a unique carve out for brands to deliver novel content in a way that's never been seen before, whether it's just flashy shoes that draw the consumer in, or the potential customer, or the brand affiliate, or their, whoever they're looking to network with at these conferences, what have you. Having that first aha moment of, whoa, those are cool shoes. Thanks, but wait, there's more. Let me show you. What are you talking about? Those are augmented reality. What do you mean you have a commercial on those? Oh, I can hear a sneak peek of your up and coming new label signed artist next album that no one's going to get for a year, but I get 20 seconds of a song if I get their shoe. So now let's touch on super fandom. And I don't even talk about the athletic division of like NIL, name, image, likeness yet, because that is a huge unwrapping of itself. So before we get into sports, I want to talk about the impact of artistry and musicians, especially. Let's take a second. The labels are not out to help us as musicians, right? Spotify's of the world are not out to help us. Those are advertising platforms. Those are mechanisms and machines of which to deliver content they are paid to deliver. And at best, we're giving up our IP to help deliver other brands' content into the people's homes, into their wallets, into their pocketbooks, getting scraps of pennies on the dollar. So we've got to figure out unique ways to monetize. And as musicians, creating your community and understanding your super fan and knowing what your experiences that you're trying to provide your consumer base is so important. So real quick, shout out to another product I think is really neat in this sector, and that's called Fan Circles. A buddy of mine through LinkedIn is doing some really great work for musicians in creating these super fan communities. So check out Fan Circles. But back to it, super fan and super fandom is the new subscriber, or what the follower used to be, the Patreon model, however you want to look at it. These people are the folks that are going to show up for you time and time again, that are going to put the money where their mouth is and support you because they believe in you, the artist, you, the creator, while you're here. Again, while we're in this skin suit, that is one amazing layer of it. But I think it also needs to be mentioned that there's something to legacy, and there's something to immortalizing and commemorating the art that gets created by us creators long after we're gone. And so one thing that I think is unique is to think about legacy and how can we create legacy work, intangibles, and just like a painting, just like a recording of someone's audio, all of these things like remind us about this person who has passed. And so One unique thing that we've done very recently, like as of yesterday, I'll show a couple pictures here in a second. Through one of our affiliate colleagues, Frank Nitti, we've been working with the family and the estate of a fallen MC named Badass. He's from the Dog Pound group, connected to Snoop Dogg, royalty. I mean, West Coast California royalty. And we've been able to create a super fan shoe that is not only teaming up with like all of this emergent tech we're living in and AI music and everything that's coming with that, blah, blah, blah. What we've been able to do is create an anchor point in the form of a physical shoe that then will deliver creative content from a fallen rapper using signed off, authenticated AI technology voice recreation, that we're now able to create new art and new work and new creation that is uniquely authentic to those badass super fans that are buying this anchor point that want to have this experience. And so I just think there's this really unique carve out here to create ways that artists and musicians have not been able to connect with their fans before. And so you think I should show this shoe?
Yes,
Nico?
please. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like, this is such a powerful way for the fans to carry on this story and live the journey, like you mentioned. So really powerful. In the meantime, while you're pulling up that, I want to thank all of our amazing community for engaging in the chat. Gabriel, as always, throwing all the good questions, which we're going to get to. Casey is saying Ian is one of the rare individuals that is very creative, tech savvy, and has an elite understanding of product development, marketing, and the business of the total ecosystem. Totally agree.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
And then we have John mentioning, love the term brand resonance. And yeah, everybody is really enjoying the conversation, loving it all. And we have so many questions from Gabriel, which I would love to get into. But yeah, let's take a look at some of the visuals of
Sure.
this amazing project that did you launch it yesterday, you mentioned?
Yeah, so it's not launched. We shared it and got
Okay.
feedback from the family and like from the team that like this is the move, and like we started ideating on the creative, and and the point that I'm
to maximize it, that would be great.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a good example of where we've taken a brand kit, we've taken elements entirely unique to Badass and his artistry and brought this onto a canvas in the form of a shoe, right? And so very specific colorways. You got very Southern California, West Coast elements here. Things that are archetypal to the character himself, whether it's the blue and metallic smoke lettering or the face and caricature himself. The point is that we're taking these elements of what this person, this artist, this creator, this musician represents, and we're attaching it to something that people can anchor to. And so this is one picture of it. I'll show a couple other angles of it. One thing I was able to do that I think is unique that I want to show is taking, this was from his first major release. And it was, I think, 1998. So you're talking about, a long time ago, but taking some brand kit elements of something that is most memorable to his most diehard fandom and slapping it on something that is in 2024, right? Modernized now. But it's all about these resonant moments. And it's all about putting these icons and these tokens and these things that make the end user or the end consumer or the end fan say, this is mine, man. This is mine. And I connect to this so much because I remember driving in that car, listening to that song when this memory happened. So every time I put on my Badass shoes, boom, it's flooded back into those moments. And that's what the super fan anchor is about. And whether it's musicians, whether it's sports, whether it's actors and celebrity, the whole point is that we're able to create these yo-yos, right? Of these time is not linear. We think of it as 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. and 3:27, in the afternoon. This is not linear, right? And we're reminded of this when memory happens and when we recall something that feels like it was just yesterday. So we want to create these super fan moments for the artistry, the celebrity, the athlete to create these wondrous and spurious creations that can only happen by creating novel and authentic journeys. So,
Love that. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I want to quickly get into digital communities that you're building. I know last time we talked about how you're using Telegram. I would love to know now you're using, this other platform and the Culture Coins, which is like your loyalty program. Can you share a little bit more about how you're engaging your community beyond the product? Like last week, we had G Money talking about the gamification. Like every week, they drop a game, and the game is activated by tapping to the NFC chip of the cap or other products. So, how are you planning this, engaging your community, building the community, and gamifying all together?
yeah, well, that's a very broad question, but I will try to do my best to answering it. And I really enjoyed G Money's talk, and I thought that was a novel way to deliver kind of content on demand, right? Like as soon as someone wants a new game, just re-engage with the product. It's really up. It puts it back into this whole choose your own adventure CX that I believe that we are in with the fourth industrial revolution, whatever you want to call it. I believe it's just so important to note that we want to feel empowered. When we spend money in something, at least me, I want to know that there's as much to be gained from it for myself as the product is gaining my monetary value buying it. So you asked, what are we doing to enculturate or create impact when people squat up with us? Well, I think it's important to explain a little bit about my vision for Culture Coins, Culture Crew, and Uncut. And as this thing grows, how it becomes such a vital on-pulse element. Shout out Alex in the crowd out there. I see him. So the deal is Uncut acts to be exactly what it says in its namesake, uncut. So you really shouldn't have to leave there to bring your fans into your created content. And so over the last month, a lot of really great rollout features have been coming with their Creator Pro. And in doing so, they've got a subscription model, the ability to bring our stream in, like from here on YouTube or Twitch, for example, into your platform page, running a blog, bringing your Discord feed in. So you mentioned Telegram, for example. I do still heavily live by Telegram. I've got a 300, 400 person incubator hub over there, primarily wax creators, but just creators in general. And we share and we check in and we engage. And the importance here is in this modern day and age where we have brand and we want to create brand impact and meaningful exchanges, you got to have a place for that to happen. And so the intention with the Culture Crew and the Culture Crew Hub on Uncut is exactly that. From blog posting about exclusive drops, scavenger hunts coming up, gamification elements in open world experiences I mentioned, like in Omniverse City with what Gabriel's building out over there in Dreamology, and skate park challenges, collecting tokens and redeeming those tokens into other on-branded experiences that we've partnered with. So let's put a little pin in it. Loyalty is important, right? Loyalty points, loyalty structures, loyalty systems. And so one unique carve out that we bring to the table with doing brand collaborations and doing phygitals and digital twins and having open world connectivity is that then you're bringing brands that may only have a coffee shop in Portland in the real world into an open world experience where people that are in open world but live in the Portland area that like coffee, well, guess what? They're doing all of these challenges and they're accomplishing all of these social proof tasks to go get themselves a free cup of coffee at this coffee shop in Portland, for example, right? And so creating loyalty point structures by having a hub, by building out a culture coin, by making it seamless so that any consumer can come into Web3 and Web3 branded experiences, tokenized, authenticated by this token, but doing it in a way that causes zero friction, zero static to the end consumer has got to be the focal point. So what we've built out with the hub is that ability to seamlessly go from unbeknownst Web 2 consumer that likes shoes, I'm just a sneakerhead, open an email in my box that sounds cool. Like, I like authenticity. I want to know that my sneakers are real. Cool. I'm going to click this link, and now I'm thrust into this world of infinite possibility. How performative is it is up to me as the brand. How useful is it is up to the consumer. The consumer has to want to use it. And so I think by setting up Scavenger, I mentioned Remix Reality earlier. I see my guy John Yu in here, and he's got an amazing XR studio platform that can go and way map entire areas ahead of an event, ahead of a festival, ahead of a concert, and then create geospatial experiences directly triggered by the sneakers that are in that vicinity, as example. So we're cooking up amazing revolution for the touring industry. Like, we are going to flip what it means to be a festival goer on its head. And that's the kind of stuff that we're crafting out and we're carving out. So I ratchet it back in to say, long-winded, the things that we're doing to keep people engaged is creating these social fi moments, these gamified experiences, connecting the shoe to already existing brands or games out in the world. We've got a partnership with Woofy, for example. Woofy's one of the most popular meme coins on Wax because it's gamified. It has performative use case. All of this matters. And so we've created a shoe that if you buy the shoe or trigger it through verifiable random functionality on our game, for example, on chain, you acquire this shoe, whether monetarily or through doing a thing. Now this shoe is going to trigger a geospatial game, and that you can now share this experience with your friends around you because the platform allows for like interaction, right? And so now we've moved back into why you need the app, why you can't just have everything function off of a website. There are native elements that need to be monitored, maintained, and controlled. And so we've built out this app experience to be able to house those unique branded experiences. And so those are some of the steps that we're taking to kind of create the why do we want to consume with Sneakar.
Love it. Thank you so much for explaining that. We have like around 14 minutes, so I want to quickly get into some other very important topics. So you just brought up the uncut and, you know, how there's also the app. So do you still engage your audience on other social platforms as well? Like, from the audience perspective, is it required for them to have all of these other apps and be active on these other platforms? Or is there a way for them to just like have a cohesive experience on your app alone? Like, how are you managing this kind of, you know, potentially kind of overwhelming of digital experiences for your audience?
Wow. Okay. I love that. Well, so the goal is that people land at the hub. The Uncut Hub should be the one-stop spot to learn about drops coming up, to participate in the blog, to get your culture coin, to learn about these culture crew runs that are happening. Now, inside of the app, the goal is to have you experience the AR experience, say, this was cool, I think I want to go consume it. So it takes you right to our website. And then from there, you know, I'm trying to word this correctly. There is some kind of inherent need for the consumer to be intrigued by our product. If they're not intrigued by Sneakar, then we can't expect them to do anything. So we've failed at a basal level if what we're creating isn't intriguing enough for them to want to go down that rabbit hole a little further. So there's no one-click solution here. We don't have a one-click product, and we don't claim to have a one-click product. What we have is an immersive product and an enculturating one. And part of enculturation is that you become a part of it and you become part of the thing. And so it may also translate that while we're seamlessly integrating everybody into our brand, we're asking for a little bit of show up on their end too. Like, let's both put some skin in the game to create these unique experiences. So it may mean that you consume your shoe in an e-commerce fashion way, and you've received the physical, and then you're reminded, oh, I need to get the app because on the shoe box it says, oh crap, I need to get this app. And now you're reminded that these experiences happen off of your shoe. And the goal there is that you're creating an organic an organic desire to want to be a part of this product, right? And so you're at some level, I think we're expecting the consumer to be a part of this journey with us. That's what being Stay Sneaker means. That's what a Sneaker story is. It's not mine. It's not Lee's. It's not Mike's. It's not our developers. It's the end user of these super fan moments, the end user of these branded collaborations. It's the end user of these sneakerheads that just want to have a piece of drip that nobody else has. So yeah, I mean, I hope that answers your question. There isn't
Yeah,
a one, but there isn't an easy button for it.
no, it's about adding more touch points to engage them. So that makes total sense. And then I want to get into a little bit more about the Omniverse city and what you're building there. Is there any image you want to share with us? Any concept that you guys have worked on, or you want?
No images yet because it's still in the ideology phase. I think Gabriel has some dreamology images he's shared about, I think, a few times. But again, like we've got to make it right, and we've got to build it correctly, and we've got to architect it in a way that's going to be enjoyable and make people want to come back and skate and play and have a good time. And further to that, create other branded experiences that will make brands want to come on board into the Dreamology environment so that we can create unique brand experiences for them. So I could show pictures and have something flashy and be like, this is the latest, greatest, coolest thing. But instead, we're building out why is it the latest, greatest, coolest thing, and then we'll show it. So no, I don't have any images, but I'd
So
love
tell
to.
us more. Why is it the latest, greatest, coolest thing?
Well, I think for me, and maybe it's just the like technocrat nerd in me, but for me, I just want to experience more than just like a flatline monitor experience. So if I have the choice to shop with brand A and I can go to their .com, or I can go and skate a half pipe and do some crazy grinds and collect some coins and eat a virtual ice cream, whatever. If I can have more like digital viscerality, like experience it more, I'm going to lean that direction. And so why it's the latest and greatest, coolest thing is I think consumers want more. I think we're entering an age of, for in order to be PMF, in order to be market fit, you've got to understand where your audience is. And the audience is about them. It's not about us. It's not about the current generation even. It's sort of like you got to think about what's attractive about a brand 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because otherwise I think you get stuck in like a Sears or a Montgomery Ward's or a Monolith situation where these brands seem too big to fail, but they didn't get with whatever the it was of the time. And so you ask, why is it the latest, greatest? And I think it's because we're admitting and openly stating it's important for us to explore, and let's explore together, and let's create open world experiences that can be uniquely shared by each user that's having them. If I go to sneakr.io and I shop and I buy my shoe, I know which shoe I'm getting. I know what size I'm getting. It's getting delivered to me. If I go to the Omniverse city and I find the Dreamology domain, and in there I see the Sneaker skate shop pop up, and I'm on the wall and I'm seeing 25 skateboards turn around in 360 and 15 different digital shoes turning around. I'm now experiencing something holistically and more, I think, more sensorily. It's more sensorily experienced in that way than if you're just flat shopping or in a brick and mortar shop. And so the way that it is it's built in. It's built in cool. It's built in experience. It's built in extension of brand moments. We get 8 to 12 seconds of people's time. If I can double that, triple that, quadruple that by creating a game, then I've done something right. And the last thing I'll say to that is there needs to be a reason for brands to want to come in as well. I mean, boring brands need to put dollar spend somewhere, and they need to create a stigma of, hey, we're cool too. Here's how we're cool. Look, we're in a skate park, right? And I ratchet back. I'm saying that it's cool because we're saying we have a new platform. Let's explore it together. Let's put branded content out in a novel way that people haven't experienced before, and hopefully they'll go tell their best friend.
Yeah. And I think it's also great because it's the closest we can get to the physical community engagement We are all not going to be in the same geographical location, but we can all show up in an omniversity event and have fun together. So why not?
Why
Uh,
not?
yeah, that's amazing. So we have so many questions from Gabriel along the lines of what we talked about. But we have about 5 minutes. I would love for you to cover anything that you think we didn't get to talk about what's special about this project. I think to me, so far, it seems like you guys have created a pilot project of what latest and greatest tech and interactive experiences can bring to the world of branding. And it's exciting not only for the end users to be part of this very innovative, cool culture of movement, but also for the brands to see it's possible to combine so many great technologies in a very seamless way and tell their stories and bring people into their journeys. So if there's anything that we didn't talk about, please tell us.
Well, we didn't really touch on the philanthropy piece very much,
Yeah,
but
yeah, let's get to it.
at Sneak R, we're just very. My mantra is all we have is what we leave behind. So, because of that, it's super important to think about the impact that we're able to bring by putting shoes back on people's feet. Like, literally, you think about housing and clothing and food. We almost don't think about shoes as just a supposition, but you can't really walk around this earth without some form of shoe on your feet. So it's important that we partner with charity organizations like such as everybodydeserves.org, for example, in order to try to put shoes on people's feet, help them get back on their feet, ask for brands to step up to help them get back on their feet, and really create a platform, again, that's a unique and novel way to deliver philanthropic efforts and get some social truth out for brands that are looking to partner in novel ways to really create some change and some impact out there. I just think it's super important to know that we are always open to partner and pair with charities out in the world and are part of a huge Christmas initiative that we're about to go public with over the next 24 to 48 hours. So very excited about all that. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on the philanthropy a bit and just say, we have an open canvas to deliver your messaging and change for the world in a new way. So we ask you to do so, please.
Amazing. So, how can people get involved with the charity part? You mentioned the website. Is there any other exciting, stuff that are coming up that people should, kind of stay tuned about?
Yeah, I would just say stay tuned for Everybody Deserves a Christmas. At some point over the next couple of days, there'll be some posts going out by all the awesome partners that are involved in that, from the charities to the art groups to the feet on the ground logistics, all of it. It's just been a really great thing to help build and be a part of.
Beautiful. And we are so grateful for our amazing community for all their engagement and questions. Andy loves the community aspect, giving back to humanity. Yes, it's all about community. Totally cannot agree more. And boring brands need to spend to say, hey, we're cool too. Yes. Thank you so much, everyone. You're all amazing. Thank you for your engagement. I hope you got the answers to your questions, Gabriel. Otherwise, I know you guys always chat. And maybe Yan can put some of the answers in the comments after the show.
Happy to
This was awesome. Thank you.
make a brainy in.
Um, can you tell us
Yeah.
where we can find you? How can people connect with you?
Yes, please. So directly, personally, and I've got a little fly homie who just keeps hanging out on my face. If you guys see me touching my ear, get at me at Munster Vision everywhere. That's MUENSTER Vision, Munster Vision, all the socials. And then for Sneak R experiences, it's at Sneak R Shoe Company or sneakr.io. Y'all get at me on LinkedIn, Ian G. Harrison, and let's go carpe some diem.
Amazing. Thank you, Joel, Alex, Andy, Gabriel, Tom, Casey, Alex, and Chris, everyone else, Paul, everyone who tuned in. We're so grateful for you. Please come back next week. We're talking about projection mapping and continuing this discussion about how we can tell stories using technology for brands and creators. Thank you so much, Ian. Always a pleasure to catch up with you. I can't wait to bring you back for the next phase of great projects that you do on. And thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.